What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something to go back to the comic book shop for or not. So make sure you subscribe to get more of these every single week. The book that I'm going to be talking about right now is The Mighty Thor number 701. So this is a continuation of the Death of Mighty Thor story arc, which is going to see the demise of one or more Thors, as we're going to kind of find as this story goes along. But let's just jump right into what's going on in this one. So when we open up, we take up where we left off in Mighty Thor number 700, and we have the War Thor, which is essentially Volstagg, who's empowered by the ultimate Thor's Mjolnir that has been, it's the remnant of a dead universe, and it's empowering him to create the War Thor, and he's fighting against the Mangog, and the Mangog is the ultimate judgment of gods. And what we get is we get a narration that tells the story of the Mangog over this conflict between this immortal Asgardian empowered by a dead universe and the Mangog, which is empowered by billions upon billions of beings, and their rage. So what we see is that the Mangog he's the fruit of a specific transgression. So when Odin was a young Odin, I guess, or just Odin in general, say that a race that invaded Asgard or even just talked to the Allfather in a really rude way, he decided to destroy the entire race of beings. More than 1 billion people just wiped from existence at the behest of Odin. And this is what's created the Mangog, and over time the Mangog has returned and been defeated, in various different ways. One of the more specific ways is that he resurrected that entire race that Odin once slew in just a fit of vanity or protection. So the Mangog, now at this point in time, is a very different kind of creature. It's a very different kind of entity. And it is not necessarily here for the rage of that once, long dead race that has now been resurrected. It's here for the race of something much, much more. It is the judgment that must be leveled against those that are free from judgment, the gods themselves. And this is the kind of conflict and the kind of back and forth that you get from the Mangog and the War Thor. It's just like, you smell of Asgardian, you are a god. And he just keeps pummeling and just putting fist to face into the War Thor, and it's just absolutely brutal at this point in time. You get a little bit more backstory as to what it comes down to, but really it's just a very one-sided kind of issue. As he blasts him off into the side of the mountain, he reaches for his hammer, and he, I am the War Thor, I'm fed by the bloodstorm, and he shoves the ultimate Mjolnir into the mouth of the Mangog and just explodes with all this lightning and force and stuff like that, this power of this dead universe, and the Mangog just kind of gobbles that stuff up and just blows this energy all out at him. It's epic. It's just so cool, and it's a very visceral kind of art style. But ultimately, as we kind of move through these various things, we do get some other interactions. We do see that Karnilla, the Queen of the Norns, has made her way into Hell, where she meets up with Balder the Brave, a long-lost love who's now ruling over Hell, as Hela's kind of out there someplace else. And that is when we see that the War of the Realms is invading all the realms. Not only did they, dispatch the World Tree, freeing Malekith from his fate, they continued to open up the possibilities of invading all these different realms. We see the Berserker Squad from Earth, using this kind of rampant Asgardian weirdness to kind of like create these beastly men that are jumping out of planes and becoming these berserkers and fighting the old gods. We see the invasion of, the minions of Cinder, the queen, just trying to take on these undead in the realm of Hell. So this is kind of like the War of the Realms is progressing, and the big bad force that is really driving this, at least the threat, is Mangog, but everything seems to have been engineered by somebody else in the background, and it just happens to be our narrator Malekith. So Malekith, unbound by his fate, redirects the Mangog after he is basically dispatched with the War Thor, crushing ultimate Mjolnir, just absolutely destroying this hammer, relinquishing the power into the ether somehow. We don't necessarily know what's going to be going on with that, but I will give you a theory once we get to the next part of this. And so, as we kind of see this destroyed, Volstagg, the War Thor, transforming back into the fatter person that he really is, we see Malekith redirect the Mangog towards Asgard, as Malekith finally, just with a single dagger, dispatches Volstagg as he drifts out into space. And that's where we kind of leave everything off, with Malekith bidding the Mangog good luck on his journey. Godspeed, and saying goodbye to the Mighty Thor, who hasn't really shown up really much in this issue, or at all. So the thing that I really love about this is that First off, it takes one thing out of play, and then it puts another thing in play, potentially. So we dispatch with Ultimate Mjolnir. Ultimate Mjolnir was a huge focus of Unworthy Thor back in the day when that was running, but ultimately Jason Aaron just says, you know what, I'm going to take this, and it's gone. I'm just going to take the Mangog, and then I'm just going to destroy this, and that's going to give you an idea of what kind of power this is, because, you know, Thor and War Thor, they fought pretty close to a standstill, and if, you know, we've got the Mangog can just dispatch the War Thor with such ease, this is a truly cosmic level threat that is going to wreak havoc not only on the Asgardians first, but potentially all the gods that have been unjust and you know, have wronged their people, so to speak. So I really dig this. I want to get into more detail on the Mangog, the history of the Mangog, and everything that goes with. The art is continued from the small section where, you know, Volstagg gets the hammer back, gets the Ultimate Mjolnir back, and then travels over to Asgard, or Old Asgard, and where Tooth Gnasher gets beheaded, and oh man, it's just so brutal and so wrong for that goat to go the way that it did. But it's a very visceral and very strong kind of art style. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of speed and movement and motion, a lot of use of blur in a very cool way, and it just gives you the idea that everything's really taking place over a very short period of time. This is very much a cinematic kind of ideal, and I really enjoyed everything about that. But the theory that I've kind of got is that out of the remnants of this Ultimate Thor's hammer, do you think that's where we get the pieces that are necessary to forge the new Mjolnir that Odin's son was wielding inside Mighty Thor number 700? Because on the cover of this, we show a destroyed Mjolnir, and that's what we got during the episode. You know, that's what we got during this issue. It wasn't the Mjolnir that we know, the wielder of the cosmic storm. It was the dead universe. So if we take the remnants of this long-dead universe and we combine them with possibly a future destroyed Mjolnir that is the, you know, and in control of Jane Foster at this point in time, or in the control of Jane Foster at this point in time, if we combine those into that kind of golden forged new hammer for Thor Odinson, that would be pretty interesting now, wouldn't it? So as of, you know, right now, I am on board 100% for Mighty Thor and wherever it's going in the future. This is going to be a super cool arc. I'm down with Jason Aaron. He's been writing a fantastic Thor since Thor the God of Thunder back like 4 years ago. So I'm always recommending Mighty Thor number 700. 701 just steps up onto that one. So I definitely think you guys should go back to the shop and grab it if you haven't had a chance yet. But I want to know what you guys think too. So hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.